Hi, I'm Teresa from Phoenix Gate Crafts, and it has been a year since I started my stash busting journey. So let's see how I've done in the last couple months, and let's talk about the year in review. All right, so I ended on a strong note. In May and June, I made 7 different projects, only 4 of which I still have to show you. I might have taken pictures of some of the rest, I may not have. So let's see how this goes. First off, we have Mom's Easter hot pads. Of course, I made these after Easter, but I don't remember if I took pictures of them. So if I did, here they are. They were 77 grams of 100% cotton and basically used up a few different balls. I used up the purple and a little bit of the azure. All of it was dishy. What's interesting about these is that some of it was dishy, like the solid colors were dishy brand, but the spotted color, which was kind of this Easter egg speckly color, was lily sugar and cream. It's funny the texture difference between the two yarns. Like, I don't think there's a significant price difference. I'm not really sure, but Dishy feels like it's more of a 3-weight and it's a little bit softer, especially after washing. I mean, they're both fully 100% cotton feel, you know that feel, but the Lily Sugar and Cream is a little bit rougher and it's a little bit thicker and it's not as tightly spun together. So it has a little bit more splittiness to it. So it's just funny how they're different, but they do work together. But if you're ever making anything where you're switching from one to another for a significant portion, you will probably notice a texture difference. All right, then I finished my front door window curtain. You probably saw me working on this for a video or two. Here's a picture just because I don't want to move and show you the actual front door right now. It's really quite nice. It's a little too small for the frame. My tension tightened up partway through, so it's pretty much never going to just hang fully like covering, but it is decorative and I do like the look of it. The curtain, I made it with lace weight yarns. I managed to finish up the red and the black. I had like just enough of both of those for that. And then that sandy color, I don't know if I used it up. I think I have just a little bit left. I don't know what to do with it. But I used 202 grams, made that entire curtain. And well, we'll talk about the difference between the weights and yardage and everything later. But yeah, that took me months and it felt like it should have weighed more than it actually did. Though it is lovely, it's a beautiful drape and it's not machine washable, which is fine. All it's going to ever do is collect dust, not like be worn over and over again or anything. But it's still kind of like, wow. I got some critiques because I took it with me in April as the project I was working on when I met up with the other California fiber artists. I got critiqued because it's lovely yarn. It's Expression Fiber Arcs. I believe it's Yak Silk Lace weight yarn is the sand color. And the problem is it's a tone that really blends in with my skin tone. Like it looks just like my skin in certain shades. So I didn't want to wear it. I got it to make something kind of like lacy, like a shawl, but I realized I'd never actually wear something in that color because I don't like how it looks on me. I would not feel pretty wearing that. So I wound up finding a project where I don't have to wear it, but I still got critiqued because, it's so lovely. It's totally a wearable fabric. But ultimately, I'm happy with what I did with it. And that's what's important. Now, the next thing, you've seen it before, is my lattice cowl. You've seen this already because I did a wash and block video, I think, involving this. And I did sew it up the back so it does have a seam. But I like a tighter cowl, something that I can actually like lift up to my face. This is, I like things that are a little bit higher, like a little tighter, but not so tight they're like a turtleneck, because that'll make me feel like I can't breathe. But if I ever feel like I need a little something extra, that's kind of perfect. So this is called Cloud. It is mostly cotton. I think it has a little something else in it to make it a little softer. But it is a single ply, super soft cotton. I got exactly one ball of it way back in COVID. This was part of that purchase I made when I was feeling really depressed and everybody was still all stressed and we were doing 2 weeks to flatten the curve and everything. I got one ball of something really soft. Also got a free pattern from, I believe it was the owner of Natique. It was one she designed that went with this. I did not use that pattern. I used an Expression Fiber Arts pattern that has this nice little lattice. I really like this stitch right here. And it was a lot of fun to work on. And I feel I got it made just in time for hot weather. This used 97 grams. There really wasn't a significant amount left, like just a bit of a string. I mean, all of yarn is a string. But anyway, I wound up just throwing that out. Well, I saved for filling. But anyway, that was 97 grams. Next are my mermaid socks. I made a pair of these, and I really like how it kind of looks like fish scales with the stitch pattern. They're shorties. I did change, I always do the Fish Lips Kiss heel because it just fits my narrow little heel a lot better than like the heel flap and gusset. But yep, made that. Made the pair. And this used up the yarn I got from ChemKnits. So I'm happy about that. I haven't worn them, but I did wash and block them. So that's why they're like hanging nice. And as usual, my socks are 47 grams. I don't know how it is, but a pair of socks seems to always come out to 47 grams. It's like magic. All right, now one I didn't take a picture of because it doesn't really matter. I had a swatch I used for the cross stitch processing video. So the cross stitch processing video used a swatch, so I showed some techniques and everything. That wound up being 22 grams, including the yarn that I used as the thread. Now, the last two items are bags, and they are very similar, a little different, but similar in the sense that they both resulted in having 150 grams of yarn that I just didn't know what to do with. So, the first one has some Knit Picks yarn. This is, I believe, Memento yarn. It's 100% Pima cotton. It's absolutely beautiful. And I had yellow, pink, and purple. And I really didn't know what to do with this. If you watched the video on scrappy projects that I recently did, I did bring this out to show. And yeah, that's exactly what it is. I had a 50-gram ball of each of these. I did the Tunisian crochet full stitch, and the Memento yarn is a DK weight. So I did do a thing I'm not super keen on because I don't know how to Tunisian crochet in the round to like keep a stitch pattern going without something funky like a seam. So I just seamed up the side, so it does look a little off. But ultimately, I don't think it looks too bad. And unless you're looking for that funky edge, I don't think you can really see it. This is perfect. It fits a book. Like, here's my notebook. and it more than fits that. So it can fit like children's books and stuff like that inside of it. I need the book out. It's got all my notes. It's 148 grams, so I used almost all of the 150 grams I had. But yeah, 150 grams ain't fitting this figure anytime soon. And it feels really nice. Like that yarn is good for clothing. At my size, I need at least 300 grams in order to make something. So I only had half of that. So, and also I kind of hate this. It's a sort of like, there's a slight greenishness to it. It's like a lime color or something, like key lime, which just not my color, not my jam. And I did get this for a different project. And I did do single crochet around the handle. And I am giving this away to somebody who has a child in their life who I think will at the very least, like the pink and the purple. Oh, yep, it was the Memento. It's lovely yarn. Now, the last thing is another bag, and this did not use up all the yarn because this is the Darn Good Yarn subscription box that I got that one time last year. I'll see if I remember to link the video. I also used a strap that came from a different box. I'll see if I can link that one as well. But here it is. You can tell this leather-esque strap has been in storage for too long because it is very firmly like kinked up. It needs some weight to put it the right way. I've got it a little short right now. If you want it to flip over your head and shoulder, you probably need to lengthen it, unless you're very petite yourself. But this is the Darn Good yarn. It's recycled silk. And I did something funky with the pockets that I actually really like. It's the easier way to do pockets. So this is the Tunisian crochet simple stitch. And you can see that this time I seamed it up the middle, which actually helped with lining up a lot of stuff. I have one big pocket on the back. And I have 3 pockets on the front. I also used a single button that says handmade that I got, I think, in the same kit that came with this. I'll put the name of that kit here because I'm totally blanking on the name. Now, what I did, so here's the thing, when you're doing Tunisian simple stitch, you don't go into the stitch the same way you do with crochet, where you go through the top 2 loops, that V. So what you do instead is you go through, you see how it kind of has these up and down lines. You go into those and you create the next row. You do a forward pass and a return pass. So what I did, I didn't do it on this one. This one I sewed, but I basically made a big square for this one. And then into that bottom row, I created the next square and I just went back and forth going up. It was not attached on the sides at that point. I just made another square. And then in that front square, I made another square. So then what I did, once I had all 3 squares, I sewed this first one to this second one, this middle one, and then I sewed up the sides, this middle one to this one, and then I just sewed this one on. And the nice thing is with the simple stitch, you wind up with this wonderful kind of grid, which is why I use the simple stitch with the cross stitch demonstrations, because it makes a nice perfect little grid that's really easy to show like where everything's supposed to go. Oops. Sorry if you got weird sounds. I was attached. So wound up doing that. And then I did something similar with the back pocket where I just did it out of the bottom fully attached and then sewed down the sides. So you have a big one in the back and 3 smaller ones in the front. And this one, I'm pretty sure that this yarn is sport weight, because although I did all of this, now I don't know if the full stitch takes more yarn compared to the simple stitch, but either way, I wound up with quite a bit of this yarn left over. Not enough for like a hat or anything. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to just discard the rest, use it um, as stuffing in an amigurumi toy or something. But whereas that previous, the full stitch was 148 grams, this one is 121 grams. And I did a lot more with this one. That's only the weight of the yarn with the button. That weight did not include the strap. So this month I did not purchase any yarn. And with those 7 projects I just described, I used up 714 grams of yarn. Over the past year, I have purchased a grand total of 4,795 grams of yarn. Now, the funny thing is, that was actually only over a 6-month period. But if you amortize that out over the full 12 months that I've been doing this, that averages out to 399.583 grams of yarn that I purchased per month over the course of 12 months. My total usage was 6,482 grams, which I did do over the course of 12 months. But if you average it out over those 12 months, that works out to 540.167 grams used each month. Now, if I use that total, I totally hit my goal. The easy goal was 3,000 grams. The medium goal was 6,000 grams, and the hard one was either 12,000 grams or using up my stash. I did not do that last one by any stretch. If anything, I feel like I have very similar amounts of yarn that I used to have. The thing is, if you take my net usage, so gross, I have used 6,482 grams, but if you take away the total amount that I purchased, my net usage is 2,393 grams. And that didn't make a single one of my goals. The thing is, I really, really wanted to use more than I purchased. And even though I did not spend a ton of money on yarn, I don't feel that I deserve my rewards because I didn't ultimately make my goal of using up and not replacing 3,000 grams. Now, there's one thing I kind of realized over the course of this year that kind of made this a little bit more difficult. Like, I was correct in the fact that I didn't really have trouble finding or figuring out projects because I'm very good at doing scrappy stuff. Bags are always a good go-to, right? However, there was a problem with counting up that I feel like there really isn't a fair way to do a D-stash, to like tally your D-stash. You can either do it by weight or by yardage. Now, I decided to do it by weight because 100 grams is 100 grams, right? That never changes because you can have 2 100-gram balls of worsted weight, and depending on whether it's light worsted or heavy worsted, you're going to have a different amount of yardage. However, if you're doing 100 grams of fingering weight, that's over 400 yards usually. of yarn. And that doesn't go very fast, at least not compared to a worsted weight, which is usually closer to like 150-ish yards, give or take, of course. So, although worsted weight projects such as this one, this used, I don't even remember how much. Even though this used 602 grams of yarn, it went really quickly. And making two of these used a lot from stash. But like when I make socks, I make a pair of perfectly serviceable socks that takes 47 grams on average. I make a shawl or a shrug with this, I could probably only take up 200, maybe 300 grams. So there's a very big difference. And since fingering weight is a distinct favorite of mine, that might have been a better way to go for me, to go by yardage instead. And especially since like that lace weight curtain I made was only 202 grams, but I'm pretty sure that I wound up using well over uh like 900 yards of fiber, just because the thinner the yarn, the more yardage you have. And that took for flippin' ever, just because it is a lot of yardage. I don't think I'm going to change though, because grams just feel a lot more stable to me as a solid measure. Now, the thing is, I do think I'm going to continue to log what I complete and what I use, and keep track of what I take in versus what I use up, just because I think that's a good thing. I like tracking stuff. I track my reading list, my physical or visually read books versus my audiobook reading. I track my steps. I'm not wearing it now, but I have a step tracker. I like having to-do lists. Hey, I'm completing an item on my to-do list now. But I don't know if I'm going to continue the monthly vlogs. We'll see how I do. I noticed that in doing this project, that I have been setting aside some other projects that I wanted to do because I wanted to devote more time to using up my yarn stash. And that has been taking away time for some other projects. For example, I really want to complete this cross stitch of all four of my grandparents. I have one up over that way that is all four of my husband's grandparents, and I made a pattern that is all four of my grandparents for cross stitch. And it's a lot of stitches. It's on 16 count Aida, and I really want to complete that. I have in the last week set a goal for myself, a daily goal of completing 300 stitches a day, so that hopefully I can finish it by, I think I calculated I'll finish it around about October 11th or something. I want to finish it by my birthday in November. So that means I actually have to dedicate time to doing that. And the more time I dedicate to something else, the less time I can dedicate to this. So I think I will continue destashing. So far this year, I have not purchased a single skein of yarn. I'm going to try and keep that up. I want to say that I might break down in November and buy some yarn, because I typically get a pretty good coupon from Natique for my birthday. But I'm going to see how it goes and try and not purchase any more yarn unless something I really, really love comes along, or I really, really need something for a project. But I'm going to see. I think that's the new challenge for me. And I think I'm going to update you in like December on that. And I might do some progress updates on that. And if I've manage to complete anything significant, but I don't think I'm going to be doing quite as dedicatedly monthly or bi-monthly updates on what I've been doing. But yeah, I do like the fact that there is definitely a lot more space in my cotton bin. I want there to be more space in my wool bin, especially for the lace weight yarn, which just is going to take me a lot longer. I have a couple of lace shawls I'm looking at making, but lace just takes longer and knitting just takes longer than crochet. Though I do have one that is crochet, so we'll see about that. I don't know yet. I haven't made the final decision. But now for the part that you're interested in, the giveaway. And this is a big ass giveaway, folks. I have 5 boxes to give away, and this is the rest of the yarn from last year that I decided I didn't want. So let's have a look. Yes, I already boxed them up. So, whoa, first box. So first up, it has 2 little 10-gram skeins of 100% superwash merino wool that I got in a advent calendar. These are the 2 colors that didn't really fit into the big project that I made with it, and they're pink and brown, which both kind of go with the very fancy yarn that's also in the box, Wassail. I got this from, oh shoot, a yarn subscription box back in 2018 that I think's gone out of business now. From 100 Ravens was the yarn supplier for that box that year. This is 75% merino wool, 25% nylon, fingering weight superwash. So that is box number 1. Box number 2 has a bunch of cotton stuff. It has about 4 balls of this 100% cotton. It's kind of this crinkly stuff. It's got 4 balls of that, 1 ball of sheepies, Werlet, shipes. I don't know how to pronounce that because nobody does. This is 60% cotton, 40% acrylic. This is just plastic, but why not? And then this Annie's Hook and Needle Kit Club, 3 weight, 100% mercerized cotton. That is box number 2. Box number 3. Now, I don't think my sister-in-law is watching this, but if she is, I'm sorry. I just couldn't figure out a project for it, but I wanted there to be a really nice fall colored, I feel it's fall colored, acrylic. Now, these are all Yarn Bee. They're really lovely. It's just not a color scheme that I typically use myself. It's low pill fiber, and it's 100% acrylic. It is very soft and squishy. Now, the problem is I did start a project with it. I actually started a bunch of projects with it. And you are welcome. This is crochet. You are welcome to continue making whatever the heck this is, or totally just undo it and do your own. All right, number 4 is a bunch of yarn that I dyed up a long time ago. So this is Wool of the Andes. It's 100% Peruvian wool, and I believe it is sport weight. I don't like this yarn. I find it a little too itchy for me because I'm a little bit sensitive. But a lot of people who are not sensitive to wool find that this is a really good workhorse yarn. And it is a very heathered purple, because here's what happened. I dyed this pink and it wound up very Pepto-Bismol colored, which I did not like. So I decided to add blue, thinking I'd change the color somehow. I mean, I did. Pink and blue makes purple. So it wound up being a very heathered purple. It is dyed with food coloring and vinegar, so that part was very eco-friendly. And the little tags are with it. They're just not on the yarn itself. And I was doing this for a project, didn't really like the color really after I did this, decided I really don't like this kind of yarn. So please take it off my hands. I hope somebody likes it. And last but not least, number 5. This is a bunch of different acrylics. So what happened with this yarn is my husband's grandfather passed, and I got a whole bunch of the embroidery stuff and the like knitting stuff that she had. I did keep a huge portion of it that is stuff that I like, but I wanted to make sure that these colors wound up given to somebody who would like them. Everything in this box is acrylic. We have 2 different skeins of this greeny color. They're not exactly the same, and I am fairly sure that this one is thinner. You know, this is for baby projects, and this one is regular acrylic. This is 4-weight. I'm pretty sure this is like a sport or DK weight. She also had that same stuff in a partially used skein. It's only a little bit of mess. It's not really as big of a mess as it looks on camera. But it came this way, just so you know. I didn't do anything with it. And there's 2 of those. And then there's one actually intact ball of this acrylic. Which I believe is a 4-weight. And then 2 random balls that have been too tightly wound, there's no give to them, of what looks like baby yarn. So I hope that you guys like these yarns. Completely free. All you have to do to enter the giveaway is tell me which box you want. Box number 1, box number 2, box number 3, box number 4, box number 5. Feel free to rewind and look at the boxes again to see if there's one you'd like. If you do not care, write any are fine or some version of that. I will choose a winner a week from Monday. So this date, because of course I didn't look at this in advance. So anyway, I hope you found this interesting. Please take these boxes off of my hands. And happy crafting. Bye.